This is weird for me.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, Tys. How you going?
I'm good. How are you?
I am okay. I do okay.
Yeah, we are. Well, welcome to episode. Hey, it's episode 60, my man.
Are you serious?
Episode 60 of Nick, Tys and Videotape. Welcome.
Well, milestones. How is everyone?
Well, talking of milestones, we're actually trying something new out tonight.
We are. We are Skyping for the first time.
We are not in the same room for the first time. We've done 59 episodes with us in the same room.
In the same room.
And tonight we're trying something out.
Something new, people.
Something new for ease of transportation and ease of just life.
And time and yeah, a lot of things. A lot of things. This is going to help with. But hopefully, it doesn't impact on the. I don't know. It's something different when you're in the room with someone. Yeah.
I feel like I'm at your place because I can see the couch, the chair that I usually sit in. I can see the type of chair. It just looks like I'm at your place because I'm staring straight at you. So it feels pretty normal for me.
For me, it's different because I can see myself as well. I never noticed that for 60 episodes, Tyson has seen my headphones and they look stupid on my head. They look so stupid.
They are rather chunky headphones.
They're
I don't
massive.
think no headphones look good though. Like that's their design.
Yeah, but that's
Except for some Beats. If we had some Beats, we'd look really trendy.
But Beats are trendy. We're so old.
We're not trendy. We're not trendy at all. No. There's nothing trendy about us.
Beats are bad sound. Bad sound for Beats.
But today, hey, we're talking about an absolute classic today.
One of my faves, you have no idea. Yeah.
One of your faves. Wow, big call. 1992, we've already fucked it. We've already had one of those awkward Skype pauses. It didn't take us long at all.
It didn't take.
1992's The Bodyguard, starring my man K-Cost
and Whitney Houston.
Whitney and Bobby.
One of the best. Let's start again. One of the best voices ever, don't you think? You've got to rate her. Seriously.
I am a huge fan of her singing voice. She was something else, absolutely remarkable,
intense.
But we're going to be talking about that shortly. But before we do any of that, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter. Where else, Nick?
YouTube.
Yes, that's correct.
Instagram, which is fun. Yeah, chucking a lot of fun up on Instagram.
That is fun. That's starting to get a bit of traction. People are getting all over that. I got our first YouTube comment.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
What was it?
It was spam. It was a very, very, very jagged English trying to tell me that your show good is contact us for more opportunities. And I was like, no, that's a shame.
We shall definitely contact you and have you rip us off somehow.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure.
Our first comment, yay! But yeah, all the social media places.
All the social media. But if you do want to write us a nice email and maybe give us some compliments or, you can always email us at nicktysonvideotape@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Other than that, please rate, like, subscribe, all of that stuff because it really does help us a lot.
All that stuff. All right. Well, hey, should we get into some trailer talk?
Let's trailer talk it up.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking
trailers. All right.
Okay.
Let's
start off with.
Well, do you know what happened? Remember we were saying that there was fuck all last week. Now there's now there's heaps.
I know. What the hell?
Now I was watching like 7 trailers.
What's gonna happen? Yeah,
and
what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen?
Only a few were worth talking about. Like there's, I think if it was a quiet week, we'd probably talk about some more of these. But because it was a busy week, I think we only really need to talk maybe 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's start with.
What do you want to start with?
Let's start with Yellow. Oh
no, I don't mind. I thought we'd end on Robin Hood, which is a good segue into The Bodyguard because Robin Hood for us.
Good call. Let's save it. Yeah? So what was the other one?
The other one was called The Yellow Birds.
The Yellow Birds.
Oh, we got a vehicle, Sarge! Come on.
Yellow bird on a windowsill. Yellow bird on a windowsill.
Hey, man. You from Virginia? Miss Bartle?
Is Brandon home?
He's out.
I'm just following up on a few things from Brandon's last post.
Has your son ever mentioned the name Daniel Murphy?
Listen, whatever you're selling, mister, we don't want any.
Oh, I'm not a recruiter or anything like that, Miss Bartle.
You had him already. You don't get to take him again. You understand? Thanks for looking out for him.
You bet. We look out for each other.
Promise me you'll take care of him over there.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So I saw this trailer a couple of days ago and quite enjoyed it. You just watched it 5 minutes ago. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah. Look, it's got some guts. It may be good. Like, two young soldiers and who obviously go over to a Middle Eastern, which I don't know the name of, because it doesn't really matter at this point. And then, and obviously something happens. There's a promise, obviously, to a wife that makes sure that you take care of him. And something happens. So you get an idea of maybe he went off the rails, or maybe his friend who was supposed to look after him was the cause of his death somehow. And there's a big
it goes a long way to
kind of thing at the end. Doesn't it?
It's setting up. I think a bit of a slow reveal kind of film where we know that something terrible happens to this character, and it takes the entire movie to really reveal its kind of its ins and outs and what actually happened. And it looks like it kind of turns into a bit of a thriller too. It looks like there may be some kind of abuse of power happening. A
little bit with civilians and high-powered guns.
It's very interesting, but I mean, you got to think as well, like. I mean, this kind of topic, it gets, it's something that comes up in a lot of good war movies, but more as like a passing kind of
fleeting thing, like
kind
it's
of
not
moment.
Exactly.
It's something like Platoon, for instance, is. I'll use Born on the 4th of July. Actually, is the better alternative because I remember that more clearly. But there is a moment in that where. You see this kind of the American soldiers kind of that abuse of power and soldiers kind of turning against each other. Actually, Platoon is an excellent example of soldiers turning against each other because that's essentially what the whole movie's about is Charlie Sheen caught between these two warring ideologies.
Don't ruin it for me. I haven't seen it.
No, it's all right. That's the plot. It won't ruin it. But yeah, so it's kind of interesting to see a whole movie talk about that instance, like that one moment. I feel like, I feel like it's something. I haven't seen it, but I feel like that De Palma movie, Casualties of War, with the one with Sean Penn and Michael J. Fox. I think that does something similar as well.
Similar to that, yeah.
So look, I'm kind of interested in this.
What was the movie that came out? Oh, I don't know whether I've seen it either. What was the movie that came out where the trailer it had? Oh, do you know who it had in it? It had
who's that?
Rocket Raccoon. What's
Bradley Cooper? American Sniper.
Is American Sniper? Yeah, that was actually. Yeah, that was actually. It gave me a little bit of that vibe.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but yeah, you've got Jennifer Aniston. You've got Toni Collette.
Jennifer Aniston doing and Toni Collette doing kind of similar roles. I think that's a good place for Jennifer Aniston. I think she's very funny, but I'm glad she's kind of moving away
heading towards the serious.
Yeah, I really want to see her do more serious work. Remember when she did The Good Girl, and everyone was like, she's going to be huge. She's going to be a huge dramatic actress.
Yeah. I remember that.
And she just kind of
slipped away, and I was like, oh, what are you doing? Go on,
went back and did a whole bunch of comedies. And she's wonderful in The Good Girl. She really is. I feel like it was one of those things where. She's almost being in the running for an Oscar. Yeah, Cake. That was the one. Cake in 2014. Everyone was like, oh, she's kind of one of the maybe gets an Oscar nomination. And then she didn't. Because she got a Golden Globe nomination. And so she only pops up every now and then.
Yeah, and then just did a shitload of horrible bosses.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah. I did a,
which was gold.
Signed on to another fucking
hilarious
random comedy or Mother's Day or voicing the Storks or whatever she's been doing. So yeah, I hope this is.
It could be. Look, it's got potential. It could have. It could have teeth. Yeah.
And I like the cast. I like the boys in it as well. I like we've talked about him a few times. I like Ty Sheridan a lot.
Yep.
Alden Enric.
Eldrick. We don't know how to say his name.
No, I know it once I see it. Alden Ehrenreich, but I always forget it until I see it. Ehrenreich.
Ehrenreich.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who is going to be Han Solo. I've just had a look on IMDb. This actually looks like it's been reviewed from some festivals already. And
I saw that.
Hasn't got the greatest reviews, which is a bit of a bummer, but it looks
could be good.
It looks like it's got some potential for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, will you see this? Obviously, we're waiting.
This is not a.
This is definitely waiting.
this is something I watch in the comfort of my own home at some point when it comes up onto a streaming or a rental service, and I go, oh yeah, I heard about that. Let's give it a watch.
We'll give it a watch, and then we'll watch Friends as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Bring it up.
Wash it down with some Friends episodes.
Exactly.
All right, shall we talk about The Catcher is a Spy?
You're an unusual man, Mr. Bird. You speak 7 languages. You're an athlete. You're more than up to the physical requirements of the job.
What job?
Since this war began, we have reason to believe the Germans are working on a fission bomb.
The scientist leading the atomic program is Werner Heisenberg. We must get to him and find out how close the Germans are to a bomb.
Welcome to the OSS, Mr. Bird.
Oh, Catcher is a Spy, yeah.
Do you know what? This is an interesting looking movie. This is a Paul Rudd lead vehicle.
I know, right? In a very serious role.
Yeah, in a serious like espionage thriller kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, all right, fuck yeah.
Okay,
I'm keen,
sure.
man.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I love Paul Rudd, so I'm glad to see him kind of branching out,
Hell yeah.
trying some different things. The cast is actually exceptional of this thing. That was one of the things I noticed at first. Yeah, Mark Strong, Guy Pearce, Paul Giamatti, Jeff Daniels. It's really great.
Yeah, man. Mark Strong.
I love Mark Strong. He's great.
Strong. But
Connie Nielsen as well.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. Like the trailer kind of follows his story. So it's a major league. Is it a baseball player?
He's a baseball player.
Yeah, baseball player who is skilled in languages and other things like that. And then it gets recruited. Does he get recruited from? Yeah,
well, I'm yet to. Apparently, it's based on a true story, so I'm yet to kind of know the ins and outs of how he comes to be a fucking spy. But it looks like they recruit him specifically, which I think is that's strange. But then again, you hear about the whole story about Chuck Barry, the Confessions of a Dangerous Mind guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Same thing. It was just like sometimes it just turns out to be very strange people.
Which in the back of my head, I'm like, well, I'm good at things. I can
Where's
be
my
a spy.
fucking call?
Where's my fucking call? Why don't knock on my door with suitcases and
I'm
go,
a ghost,
Nick,
man.
we're going to take you away. We're going to train the shit out of you. You're not going to know anyone. And I'm going to go, well, you know what? I'm going to pass. Thank you. But
you know that speech that Indiana Jones says about Marcus Brody?
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
That's me. Except I'd also be the guy crawling around Alexandria or wherever he is going, excuse me.
Yeah, that's Marcus Brody. That's him. Same thing. That's the same joke. I love that shit.
Yeah. I actually, you know what's funny?
You'll never see him again. Yeah.
He's probably got the grill already.
Yeah. He gets lost in his own museum. Oh,
so good.
God.
What's funny is that when this trailer popped up, because I watched it yesterday, but it's been around for a couple of days. Yeah. I saw the title and I was like, oh, it's a play on words of Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah.
And I thought it was kind of maybe it was a bit metaphorical and stuff like that. And then when I watched it, I was like, oh no, he's literally a baseball catcher.
A baseball catcher. Yeah, no.
I was like, oh,
really?
This title isn't as fun anymore.
No.
I don't like this
really
title as much anymore.
No.
I was like, oh, it's kind of cool, like allegorical. No, he's literally a baseball catcher.
Exactly.
I would watch the hell out of this, I think, because this is the power of Paul Rudd. I would watch almost anything that he's in. Just because he's such a likable screen presence.
Exactly. The power of Paul Rudd. I like that.
Yeah, and look, it's taken me to some shit movies in my day, but I'll never ever watch Wanderlust again.
Oh, come on. That was gold. You didn't like that? No,
it was fine. It was
fine. No, there is some bad ones. I have to mention because Zach, my cousin who did our theme song at the start of the podcast every time, he told me to watch, fucking hell, what is it called? Is it Avalanche? Something Avalanche?
Prince Avalanche, yeah. That's actually one I've avoided because I've heard it was no good. So
Jesus Christ. No one ever watched that ever, please.
You did not like I remember you've talked about this already that you did not like
Have
this.
I?
Yeah.
But it's beyond not liking, Tyson. Like, it's to a point where have you ever, like, when you watch a movie and someone said it was good, you're like, okay, look, let's give this thing a go.
Yeah.
You give it a go. You're 45 minutes in. You're like, well, is there a turning point? Does it do a 21 grams where you're like, oh, well, this is actually quite decent. What the fuck? But no, this thing keeps going and you end up going, why the fuck am I watching this? Like, really, why am I watching this? Turn this off. But yeah, that was David
Gordon Green. I like David Gordon Green.
Could have been good.
Interesting.
But no.
But yeah, so Catchell is a spy. Was a spy.
Was a spy.
Was
the
a
Catchell
spy. He was.
So clearly
indeed.
he dies. Does he die?
Maybe he dies, or maybe he just comes back and plays baseball again.
Okay, cool. Either way, it's a win.
Either way, it's a win. This movie only goes for an hour and 38 minutes.
Mm.
That really
That's...
sways me towards wanting to watch it even more, because I'm like, if I can knock this thing out in fucking a sweet 90 minutes, 10 points. Catcher was a spy.
Seriously, no wonder that producers sit around a table and go, you know what? Can we cut it down to 90 minutes? If we cut it down to 90 minutes,
yeah,
we've got time.
You're right. It is my fault. It's people like me. But it's only because sometimes the only time I get to start a movie sometimes is like at 10:30, and I know I need to be in bed by 12:30. I've got an hour and a half to watch a movie, get ready for bed, and go to sleep. Nice. So sometimes, like, I look at those movies and it's like 2.5 hours, and it's like, nah, I can't do that tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
See something that's 90 minutes. Yeah, fuck yeah, I can do that right now.
Yeah, I can totally do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I always I'm like, what can I watch? What can I watch? You know what's good? Even though it'll make me bawl my eyes out, Dumbo, because Dumbo goes for just 1 hour.
Dumbo. Yeah. You've talked about Dumbo before.
Have I?
You're obsessed with Dumbo.
Yeah, fair deal. Yeah, fair deal. Look, I like it.
Not a bad choice, though, for favourite old school Disney.
Yeah, it's awesome. Look, the racial slavery that's in there is not that great, but yeah, it's still a classic.
You're gonna find that in all of those old ones, man. There's gonna be something that you're just like, oh Jesus.
Oh, that was a bit.
That was a bit rough. Walt Disney, you were maybe a little bit sus, buddy. So yes, now let's just move on, because I don't think there's anything else that we really need to talk to trailer wise. Was there?
Unless you want to do Robin Hood?
Well, yeah. Anything before Robin Hood?
No, I don't think there was.
All right, let's do
it. Not really, anyway. Yeah.
There's been whispers of a thief. He's got our commoners looking up, seeing hope.
If I may, I propose a bounty. 1,000 a week until he's caught or killed.
I've never seen anything like you.
You stare death in the face.
That's why I chose you. You're not curious? He's under the hood.
He's obviously well trained. You flatter him. He's a smash and grabber, nothing more. Who do you think the thief is?
He's all of us.
You're an admirer.
He has his qualities. He's not you.
Are you sure?
So the trailer finally landed for this brand new, the 17th version of Robin Hood in the last 4 weeks we've had. What's it called? It's just called Robin Hood, isn't it?
It's just called Robin Hood.
God,
yeah.
Can they at least try something else? Like, we had one that was just called Robin Hood in 2010.
We really did. And but the thing is, you're not going to beat Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, so don't try. I'm happy, don't try. I'm talking about the title there. Yeah, you're not going to beat it.
You're not going to beat that movie. Like, sorry, I know it's not like. I know objectively it has huge problems, but that movie is
absolutely
like that movie is right up there for me as like just
so good,
so infinitely watchable.
Yeah. It's because of our childhood, Tys. We grew up watching it. We really did.
Yeah.
I remember I got taken with a friend. It was 1991. I was in primary school still, and he was having a birthday party.
Right.
And of all the movies, we saw that. Like, I was like, okay, I feel like I'm a bit young for this, but I enjoyed the shit out of it.
That's a long movie for a birthday party.
I know.
And 2.5 hours.
I know. And then we went to Time Zone. What the hell?
Yes. That is a good day, my friend.
How good is that?
We've got 2018 Robin Hood. I like the cast. I'm going to be honest. I really like the cast.
Really?
I like Taron Egerton a lot from Kingsman.
Yeah.
Fucking Mendo, Ben Mendelsohn.
Ben Mendelsohn.
Love him.
Nowhere.
Big Jamie Foxx fan.
Tim Minchin.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. I was watching it and I was like, is that fucking Tim Minchin?
Yeah.
And yeah, it is. So
it is. Yeah,
what an interesting casting choice.
Right.
I wonder if they'll have him. I wonder if he's going to sing at all.
He might. Who's Sheriff? Oh, Ben Mendelsohn. Right. Oh, good choice there. That's decent. Why does Jamie Dornan get Will Scarlett such a top billing? because of 50 Shades of shit?
No, I don't trust I never trust the IMDb
You never trust that?
listing. It's just, especially when the movie hasn't come out, because I haven't seen the credits yet, so they've just chucked them in whatever order.
Chucked them
Yeah.
in.
That's probably alphabetical for those first three.
Yeah, fair deal. What did you think of this trailer,
I didn't think it looked particularly good. Yeah, I think.
And why is that? What do you think?
Look, I couldn't put my finger on it, because if you had to show me, I feel like it's pretty. Well, I have made it pretty clear that I am pretty okay with the King Arthur movie that came out, whatever it was, 2 years ago. I thought it was not too shabby at all, man. And I had a pretty good time watching that movie. I think this is like a poor man's that. And if, like, in saying that, it's a poor man's version of what is something that's already kind of not great. Like, it was fine.
Yeah.
This is like the poor man's version of that. So I don't know, man. I just don't see it being really much chop at all.
There was so many, like, it looked like, for some reason... Well, this is just me in my head, because I'm so full of Avengers. For me, it looked like a Hawkeye movie.
Yeah. He was pulling some Hawkeye moves, my man, wasn't he?
All the slow-mo bow shots, I was like, what are you, like, what kind of Robin Hood is this?
Yeah, Hawkeye origin story.
It's gonna get kids into the seats, because only kids.
No,
I know,
kids
but
aren't seeing this thing. No way.
No, it's PG-13. This thing is going for a kid summer release or something. I don't know, because it's just a Hawkeye movie. Everyone's going to go see it. A little bit of action, a bit of fun, almost like an Indiana Jones thing.
Trying to cash in on Arrow, maybe, like the popularity of Arrow, because his costume looks a lot like Arrow.
It's spitting image, like spitting apart, just different color. Man.
Have you seen this poster? Check out the poster. Right.
Yeah.
So it's a picture of him, and he's in the forest, and all the trees are designed to look like arrows. Is it just me?
Go on.
Or does he just look like a miniature person? And this is a movie about a miniature Robin Hood.
A miniature Robin Hood.
Do you know what I mean? If I saw that poster, I'd be like, oh, is this
okay? Is this like that Matt Damon movie where everyone shrinks?
Yeah.
Is that what you're
is this Honey, I Shrunk Robin Hood?
Is this downsizing Robin Hood style? Is this in the same? Maybe it's in the same world as downsizing,
maybe.
But
downsizing origin story. Yeah, look, I don't know, man. This could end up being a lot of fun, and I'm still seeing the shit out of this, like, for sure.
Really?
Because I think I think it's either going to be really fun or so terrible that it's a good time regardless.
Yeah, fair deal.
Do you remember that movie Pompeii? Did you ever see Pompeii?
No, I didn't.
So Pompeii is a movie that I am equating this to. That I saw it, watched it, and went, this has to be one of two things.
Right.
Just awful or fun awful. And it turned out to be fun awful. And I'm like,
nice.
Great, I had a good time. It was pretty garbage, but there was enough, like, ridiculous things happening, and Kiefer Sutherland was, like, chewing all the scenery that I was like, great, I can watch the hell out of this. So if this is similar to that, I will have a good time watching it.
Right.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Look, maybe I'll save it for a time where I'll watch King Arthur and then Robin Hood, back to back. And I may throw up all over myself.
This is a double feature. Would be just exhausting.
Exactly. I'm going to give it a shot, though. I'm definitely going to give it a shot.
Yeah.
I'll give it a shot. I love a Hawkeye movie.
Yeah.
They're not going to do a Hawkeye.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the thing. This is the closest thing we're going to get to it.
Someone has to CGI in
and the fact
Jeremy Renner's head onto Taron Egerton in the trailer.
But I like Taron Egerton.
Me too.
He's good. But yeah.
Have I seen him do anything other than be Eggsy?
But be Eggsy? I don't think so. But what I said before off air, like they because for us, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves is this where it starts and where it ends. Oh, maybe a bit of Men in Tights in there somewhere, but
yes,
but
yes, Men in Tights is
Men in Tights definitely. Yeah, I remember seeing. Did you see the other Robin Hood? Was it Ridley Scott's? Yeah. Did you see that?
So the Russell Crowe one.
The Russell Crowe one.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
I've seen a fair chunk of Robin Hood movies for no good reason.
Really?
Yeah. Like I was like the one person that saw that the one that came out around the same time as Prince of Thieves with Corbin Burnson. Or no, what was his name?
Patrick Burnson.
Patrick Bergen.
And Uma Thurman. Yeah, yeah.
Is it Uma Thurman in that?
Uma Thurman is Maid Marian in that. Yeah,
no
I remember
way.
that.
I don't remember that at all. See, but this is the thing. I was like, I was a bit of a Robin Hood head, apparently. back in the 90s, I was all about it. And then since then I've watched the Ridley Scott one when it came out. I was keen to watch it, man. I was all about it. And I did not enjoy it in really any way, shape, or form.
But even, like I said before, in when we're off air, they even copied the arrow shot, Tys. Like, the arrow shot that was famous for. Like, I remember watching the makings of Prince of Thieves, and that was actually because we didn't have GoPros in the 90s, they actually stuck a camera on a log tree and kind of rammed it into another tree, and that's how they got that shot. Like, it was such a big deal, this shot, and now it looks really bad. Like, it's all CG arrows and just terrible.
Yeah, I don't need to see him CGI floating around in air and stuff. Just give me K-Cost, man. Just give me K-Cost. Doing that bit where he grabs the arrow and he tears off one of the quills off it so that he knows how it's going to fly, and he just pings it out there.
Straight in the face.
Perfect.
Done. Yeah. Exactly.
I watched Prince of Thieves not that long ago.
Really?
Again, and man, it holds up. I had a really good time.
I love Prince of Thieves. Yes, K-Cost is awesome, and the holes are there. Like, you can't really ignore them anymore. But Morgan Freeman and Alan Rickman as the sheriff,
it is a performance, like an all-time performance. Well, let's use that as our segue. That's what I meant. And let's talk about our feature presentation.
The Bodyguard.
Woo!
And now for our feature presentation.
All right.
How do you think we're going so far?
Well, good, man.
Yeah, you reckon?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not actually looking at you that much.
I know. Do you know what I mean? But this is the thing.
I'm pretty good just hearing. Like, I thought I would be like, I'm going to need to keep making eye contact and stuff to keep up the Skypeness. But no, I feel like we're doing okay.
Okay. Well, that's what I thought as well. I thought, we're not going to have the same energy in the room as normal. But no. It's not just about it. No.
Maybe we're just overcompensating.
Maybe. All right.
So here we are.
Yeah.
Yes,
The
Nicholas.
Bodyguard.
Did you have a question?
No, I was going to say, when was the first time you watched The Bodyguard, Tom?
So
go for it.
Is this the first K-Cost movie we're doing?
Is it really?
I think he hasn't popped up in a supporting role in anything else that we've done.
No, we did Man of Steel.
Oh, Man of Steel, of course we did.
Yeah.
Well, I might have already told this story then, but I'll tell it again.
Oh, go on. Yeah.
So, my mother was had a celeb crush on Kevin Costner.
Right.
Like, it was the same way, like, people would have thought about, Elvis back in the day, or then, like, or Clark Gable, or people the way they talk about, like, Brad Pitt now, or, I don't know, who's the hot new thing that
Ryan Gosling, man.
Ryan Gosling, exactly. So that's how my mum felt about K-Cost. So when I was growing up, whenever there was a Kevin Costner movie on television, it was like a family event. It was like, well, that is what is going to be on the television. So like it or not, I ended up watching a whole heap of Kevin Costner movies quite young, and I think that's why. Good. That's why I think I'm such a huge fan of him now. It's obviously a nostalgic thing, but I mean, something like JFK, I actually came to myself because obviously, as an 8-year-old, I'm not going to sit there and watch all 4 hours of JFK and be like, well, this is that was awesome. That was awesome, and I have such a serious distrust in government right now. 8-year-old me is like, overthrow.
That's hilarious.
But but Bodyguard was a big one because they used to play it on television all the fucking time.
Yeah, man, this thing was huge. Well, this thing was so huge.
I forget how legitimately huge it was. Like, it was the second top earning film of 1992.
Of the year. Yeah. The first was a kids movie. Was it? No,
I don't know. I didn't actually check, to be honest.
I checked, but I forget what it was.
I looked at the Bodyguard's position and then didn't think to check the top 10 of what beat it. 1992. Can I take a stab and say 1992? Jesus, actually, I don't know.
92, baby. I love doing this. This is my fave. Especially because the song, Tyson, that song stayed at the top for how long? Like, seriously?
Yeah, so that, man, I have seen that film clip. Speaking, this is like what we were talking about
really?
with the mermaids. I have seen that film clip so many times because it was the last video played on Video Hits for about 8 months, I reckon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was huge.
What was it? 95? 95, Tys?
92.
92. Oh, it was a Disney movie, and it was the first Disney movie to have...
It was Aladdin.
It was Aladdin, yeah. And so it rightly should be.
Yeah, that's. I mean, there's no shame in coming second to Aladdin. Fuck, that was a huge.
Hell no. Are you kidding? Hell no.
This is the kind of movie that doesn't get made anymore, though. I don't think, Nick.
I know it doesn't, does it? I mean, come on. And I wanted Sam didn't watch it with me, but I wanted Sam to watch it because one, she's never seen it, and two, I wanted to know because I feel I'm a little biased because I love this movie, and I wanted fresh eyes at it. So, but she wasn't able to watch it, which is kind of...
I'll be honest, man, I came pretty fresh because I haven't watched this since I was probably 14 years old.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
So...
That killer start, man. Like, I forgot how you get silence over 90s credits, right? And then just bang, bang, bang. And then it's just... He's a bodyguard.
I'll be honest, man. I was doing that thing that only happens now because it's 2018. I was picking up remote controls, going, why isn't there fucking sound?
Really?
Is something fucked with the soundbar? Do I not have my soundbar connected to the right output? Blah blah blah. And then because I turned it way up, clearly like a dickhead, trying to figure out why there was no sound. The gunshots went, and I shat my pants.
Excellent.
Yeah.
What a start.
What a start. And I was like, man, you got me, movie. You got me. I fucking fell for it.
Paying attention now, aren't you?
That's it. And,
exactly.
Man, like, what a great choice. What a great choice. Great way to start the film. That first, the first scene. Yeah. Well, just that first. So the car park shootout, the car park scene, and then the conversation he has with the guy afterwards. I think is some of the really the best early character building I've seen in a really long time. It's 10 minutes, not even. It's 5 minutes of screen time. He says very little too. He says very little, and we know so much about this character immediately.
Exactly what type of person he is, the fact that he doesn't take the drink, the fact that it's not about the money, it's about what he's doing, that he can't do it anymore, and just the way that he holds himself. You get so much from him.
But this kind of this steadfast kind of like need to be that upstanding, perfect kind of version of himself, where it's like, no, I can't allow any kind of pleasures. I can't allow any kind of like, I can't break this iciness because that's what keeps people alive.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Yeah, and I think it's great. I think it's a really strong start to this movie, man. I was on board.
Exactly. You were on board, weren't you?
Yeah.
I like where you were going there. You were on board, and then like about...
there's a lull. There is definitely a lull. I would say, I actually don't want to talk too much about the lull period, because I think when this movie gets to the cabin, the snow cabin, which is... This is a pretty long fucking movie, but this movie, goes, man. This movie travels. Like, it is... I found it to be really, really swift, and it's because... As soon as they get to the log cabin, which I will say is probably about an hour into it, maybe.
I think it's a little bit longer. It's about an hour 20.
Is it really?
Maybe?
Okay.
Yeah.
So
because it goes for 2 hours 9 minutes.
Yeah, right.
So you've still got another half an hour after that. So
because it's pretty substantial from the time they get to the log cabin, because you've got the whole cabin sequence, then you've got the whole spoilers for Bodyguard. You've got the funeral sequence, and then you've got the entire Academy Award sequence.
Yeah.
From that moment, from the time they get to the snow, this movie is fucking great, I reckon. Like, I am really, really a big fan of this film from that moment on.
Yeah.
And I would say
so true.
The only thing that I think kind of hurts it a little bit, I think, is that first hour or so, first hour 15 or whatever.
Oh, you think so? Really? I kind of like the setup. I think
the first scene is great, obviously, but I think getting him there, their kind of initial meeting and all that kind of stuff. Their introduction, and just that whole... There are really strong moments in it, don't get me wrong, but I think this movie steps up a notch when they get to the cabin. And from there, it's a really fucking... It's like a 4.5 star kind of thriller for me from that moment.
Really?
Yeah, nice. I really dug it from there. Also, because there's stuff in the beginning that I also think is objectively bad, and there is none of that.
Start. Yeah. In the end, no.
From that moment on, I don't think.
That's so true.
Like, for instance, there's the scene where
Are you talking about the start here?
No, so the start's great. The first 10 minutes is great. But I could just pick out annoying things about the first little bit, which I think that's not fair to the movie, but they are annoying things that I can't help. But there was one that I found just was legitimately not well put together, and it's the scene where he's watching the film clip of her in the pool house.
I can't believe you're jumping straight to this. I wrote this down. How?
I'm like, so for one, how loud is he playing it?
Oh, that was the first thing I wrote. How loud are you? You're across the pool.
She's across the pool, upstairs in the actual house, having a legitimate conversation, and she stops because she can hear herself.
Yeah, her own voice.
So turn it down, buddy. Dude. It sounds like it's pretty late. And people are trying to get a bit of shut-eye. Yeah, exactly. It's that classic. Man, I got kids here, buddy. So yeah, he's trying to have a snooze.
The only reason which I think they put that in was because of the song, because she's singing "I Want to Run to You," and then maybe if you're, let's say, studying this film in a thesis, if you will, which hilariously, if you are, oh my God, why did you pick Bodyguard? But other than that,
why can't I do that subject? I want to do that subject at university. Bodyguard 101.
Bodyguard 101. But because she runs to him in the end. It's
the songs.
I want to run to you.
Yeah, let's get back. We'll get back to the songs because
we'll get back to that.
I get what you're saying. I see its purpose. I think it's just horribly executed. Because he's sitting there staring at her like a creepo.
Yeah, it's weird.
And it's like at first I was kind of like, okay, he's watching because he wants to kind of maybe he's going to check.
He's studying.
He's studying. He's going to check the peripheries of the film clips to see if maybe there's anything that he notices, any kind of activity that he wants to kind of. But this is a film clip where it's literally her face singing down the camera, and he's sitting there with his fucking OJ and just. Just taking it all in, just like, yeah.
And he's literally and there's a moment where her face, there's nothing but her face, and he's watching it on, it's not a small screen. He has a very, very large television in front of him.
Yeah, it's large for 1992. For sure.
Exactly. And then he just leans forward.
And it's like, oh, yeah, this is the shot. This is the shot I'm looking for. Yeah, I did not like that scene at all.
And it's not, but the thing is, I thought a scene like that, if you're not going to go the way that you just said, you would go, well, this is where you would see him maybe developing some feelings or something.
No, I think that is 100% what this scene is designed to do. I think it's meant to be the first instance of him realizing that he might have feelings for her. But I don't think that's supported anywhere else in the film at that stage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I think it comes out of nowhere really because they haven't have they even had the interaction in the shopping center, the clothes store? Has that already happened?
Yes.
Yeah. So and
I think
even that is not. I don't think is a great example of
them interacting, him having feelings. No, I wouldn't think that either.
Because her dialogue is also like. It's pretty poor, really. Like, it's the kind of stuff that, like, a 15-year-old would think is kind of poignant. Like, it's all that stuff about, what's the matter, Frank? You worried you're going to get too close to somebody? And, like, stuff like that where it's like, can we have an ounce of subtlety to any of this, to this relationship at all?
Yeah. Which you do get towards in the middle, like when she's jogging all that stuff. Like, you do get that stuff.
I think it's really sweet that she asks him out.
Yeah,
I think that's really nice, and I think that conversation is really good. I actually would have preferred it if that was like the first time he kind of goes, "Oh wait, hang on, that's changed the game for me." I didn't think because he's so good at what he does, he's never thought of her that way, and now because she's kind of brought that up as an option, it makes him kind of go a bit kind of like it kind of short circuits his wiring a little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you don't get that. You don't get that scene kind of ever. K-Cost is a little one-dimensional. Like in some scenes, I'm not saying in everything, because
it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite K-Cost.
No,
absolutely not.
Like in that start scene, you're seeing so much layers of this character, and then throughout, you're not getting. You need to see those things, especially in the scene. The scene that comes up for me is when they've had supposedly this lovely date, and then she turns the samurai sword on him, which I want to talk about in a minute. Hang on, put a pin in.
Put a pin in the samurai sword. You have to put a pin in that shit.
Because she points the samurai sword at him, and he does the thing with the scarf, which is nice, and then he kisses her, and I'm like, this is coming out of nowhere for me. Where's the emotion, K-Cost, man? Where's the showing that you actually like it?
So he's obviously doing a thing where he is he's a man that just has. He doesn't show that he's trained himself to. He doesn't allow himself that kind of expression, and he has to stay cold and steely to do the job that he has to do. I think there are certain moments where he has really, really wonderful expressions. And he shows that kind of that conflict really well. I think there are others when it just doesn't work as well. But
and this is where, go.
Well, I think there, the actual courtship scene, let's call it that. They've just been on the date. I think the conversation they have about the movie is kind of interesting. And I think the idea that we're trying to present him as like a modern day samurai in a way, like a modern day,
sure.
Which is kind of interesting to a degree. Like he can't have a family. He can't. It's more of a Ronin situation actually, as opposed to a samurai. It's like this wandering wandering warrior who goes and does what he has to do and can't make connections and can't maintain them because it damages it'll make it hard for him to do his duty.
His job. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So but you get all that from her. Like you get so many scenes of her where you see her just watching him and like things like that. You get like, I think there's like 4 or 5 of them where she's watching him or watching him do something, interact with her son or just doing his thing. So she gets that, maybe I do have feelings for this guy sort of thing. You just don't get it with him, which I was pissed about.
I liked the son. That was a cool little
role.
He
was good. Yeah.
Fletcher, was that his name? Fletcher?
Fletcher. I know. Nice name too.
Nice name for a kid. Fletch. Yeah. Interesting kid.
The one I wanted to... Yeah.
Oh, no, it's fine. I was just going to say, I liked the scene with him in the boat at the start when he first meets him. I think... they made him out to be a really potentially interesting kid character, and they kind of went nowhere with it. But that's fine.
Yeah. The one scene that it was hilarious that you brought up that scene with the TV and the song. But the one scene that was weird for me was the first scene with the rehearsals in her house. For starters, who goes to that length of rehearsal in your fucking house? Like seriously, I've done rehearsals in my house. They're not that intense. I think it's the look. We don't know. Man. It could. No, that's true.
It could be. They
could have been shooting something or
Exactly. They could have been like shooting the test runs and seeing how they go.
But in that, like, you get a setup of kind of the people that she hangs around with, and my God, that the character of Cy does his job so well. You fucking hate this guy.
Man. He's such a hateable character,
isn't he? How good is that for him to do that job? Like
he does it really well. He performs it really well. But he's just so hateable, and I hate that. I think that's maybe a frustrating thing towards the end because he doesn't. There's no redemption for him in any way. I don't think.
No, good. I like that.
Yeah, but let him be. I think they had the opportunity for him when he picks up the card at the end that says that she's won, and it's got blood on it. I think there's an opportunity there for him to at least have a moment of kind of quiet reflection, as opposed to wiping the blood off and popping it in his jacket. Like it's not like he even had that moment where you kind of see him go, oh man, was this even worth it? Like, what am I doing with my life? Like, just a moment where he kind of ponders the possibility of that, I think would have been really nice for that character.
Yeah.
And they just didn't.
It doesn't bat a fucking eyelid.
It doesn't. Well, maybe he does, and I just missed it in his performance, but it doesn't look like he does.
No. He's an ass. He's a fucking asshole, but does his job so well. And that is, which I didn't realize, is he a member of Spandau Ballet? That actor?
What?
Yeah. Seriously,
really?
Look it up right now. Grab IMDb. Like, go to the Bodyguard.
Is exciting.
I don't know how random is that. Gary Kemp, his name is.
I recognize that name. I didn't even think to look at his. Like, I just kind of went, I don't recognize him, and just kind of kept.
I was like, where have I seen you before? And I haven't seen him in anything else. But for some reason, he's done way more soundtracks than he has. Acting gigs, and I'm like, oh wow, you are a member of Spandau Ballet.
Wow,
how random is that? Yeah.
Holy, is he the singer?
No, I think he's a guitarist or something. I don't know, but that's weird. Is that not weird? But that's it. He did the Bodyguard and then left.
Yeah, it's funny though because I don't think he's exceptionally good, so that explains a bit. Like, he's like. I think I might have just contradicted myself because I think I said he plays the easily hateable very well. But just like every now and then his line delivery is so like just dripping with like sarcasm or like bitterness that it's just kind of like, hey man, just take it down a notch.
He's just a fucking ass. Yeah. Seriously.
If we're meant to have any kind of sympathy for this character, and if we're presenting Rachel, is it Rachel? Rachel Maddow.
Rachel Marin.
Marin. Yep. As any kind of like, as someone with a brain, she probably wouldn't, or someone with like, with quite a compassionate heart as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like the kind of person that she'd allow stick around for so long. Because with someone like,
especially because he's not an agent, he's a publicist.
Yeah,
so I'm like,
he's got a very active role for a publicist.
I'm like, dude, if you talk to me like, I would fucking put you through a wall.
Shouldn't the publicist just kind of, he can just hang in his office and when and I'll talk to you later and get me some interviews and get me some things like that, and I'll talk to you later. Exactly. Don't be hanging out in my house while I'm rehearsing numbers and stuff.
Don't make up a bedroom in my fucking house for a magazine. Seriously, are you fucking kidding me?
Tell you what, when I was a kid, I must have breezed past that ejaculation line.
Oh, really? No, I knew what that was. I
don't think I paid any attention to that because that came as a little bit of a, oh, hello. It's got a bit of adult all of a sudden, didn't it? When they're talking of...
Well, let's use that as a jumping off point because there's a sideline storyline here that could take this movie into a way darker thing, especially with the guy writing the letters, with making up the letters.
Yeah.
And
so I'm a little confused, right? I got a little confused, and I to be quite honest, I could have just rewound it and listened to her story again, but it was a long day yesterday, so I was I had a lot to do. I was like, well, I've missed it, so it's fine. I was listening, but I was kind of also, I think I was kind of thinking about something that happened previously that I wanted to talk about, and so I missed a little bit of her explanation.
Yeah, fair deal.
The sister.
Yep.
Did she hire the weird guy that was writing the letters, or did she hire the guy that ended up trying to shoot her at the end?
She hired the guy that ended up trying to shoot her at the end.
Gotcha.
Right, through another person. So she didn't know who that guy was at the end, Portman. But the other guy, the weird guy, is just another story.
He's just a weird guy. So he's just a weird guy that was writing letters.
Yeah.
So they weren't. The stories weren't actually related. It was just kind of. So was the weird guy the one that broke in and had a jerk?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's him. Yeah, so, I would guess so.
But wasn't he getting really like when they were interrogating him? Wasn't he getting really like, no, I didn't write those letters. It wasn't me.
No, that's that. Okay, so that scene has always, for some reason, it scared the shit out of me when I was a kid because I thought in that scene he's not all there, like he's just saying it. Yeah.
But, so we're just meant to be led to believe that he definitely did the letters. He definitely was the beginning of that kind of panic that they had.
Yeah, I think it was him in the
and it just so happened. Yeah. Well, because it looked like him, didn't it? It looked like him.
Yeah. And you see him throughout the movie, like even when she goes to the club and falls off the stage.
Yeah, I noticed that.
He gets kicked, full,
Which is funny because, like I said, I haven't seen this. Like a real fucking solid kick in the chest, like kick in the chest.
I'm like, oh, dude, you fucking died from that, seriously.
It was funny because even after not seeing this movie for so long, when I saw him pop up in the club scene and get the kick to the chest, I was like, that's the dude. That's him. I remembered, because he's got such a distinctive, face. And, they did really well with his haircut and everything just to make sure that he was super memorable. So when he did pop up later, we didn't have to do one of those cheesy flashbacks to Kevin Costner fucking chest stomping him. Yeah. Which is good. Yeah, it's real good.
Yeah.
So that's interesting, isn't it? That they had these concurrent stories running. One that doesn't really end up meaning anything.
I know, and to be honest, if the movie took that road, not that it should, I understand. I like the jealous sister storyline; it works. But yeah, had they done the psycho nutter who's writing their letters and jerking off on the bed and making dolls that blow up, I know that was maybe the other guy. But yeah, either way, it would have been a way darker.
That's interesting to think about as well. So the dolls that blow up have to be the other guy because he used to work in private security. So
yeah.
Secret. Was he a Secret Service guy as well?
Yeah, he was the same as K-Cost.
So, yeah, right.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to assume the bombs were him.
Yeah.
Did we watch this movie? We watched this movie, didn't we?
We did. We watched it, but they make it nice and murky, so you don't know whether it's him.
Because we don't have that. We don't have that awkward scene of all the flashbacks to him putting like a doll in the boat or like rigging up the motor on the boat while they're out in the cabin. Like it just allows us to put together the pieces ourselves, which is great. That's awesome. I like it when
you fucking rarely get it anymore.
Yeah.
You definitely rarely get it anymore. Yeah. I think we have to... Yeah, go on. What were you going to say?
No, you go. You seem like you've got something important to say.
I think we have to... No, I don't. I was just going to mention... We have to mention how this is her first acting experience, and she fucking nails it out of the park, this thing.
I concur to a degree. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think she does some stuff really well, and some other things I'm not super keen on her. Okay. I think what she does best is is showing the kind of vulnerability underneath. So the little moments where she looks legitimately scared, I think are really effective for some reason. I think it maybe is because she's put on such a strong surface kind of demeanor this whole time.
Yeah.
When it does crack, we get to see something really interesting, I think. There's the I can't remember the specific moment. It's the one. Well, for starters, it's the conversation she has with him, asking him out. I think is a really sweet.
Very innocent. Very innocent.
Yeah, and she's putting herself out there. Like she's allowing herself to be like, okay, I'm opening myself up. This is a gamble, and she shows that really well. When she's singing, it's like we're on another planet. Like it is honestly stunning. Yeah. I just think some of when she's doing the more kind of, like when she's letting Frank have it a little bit, and she's getting stuck into him a little bit, and being the wise kind of like, like the scene in when she's trying on the clothes, and she's like, all that stuff. What's the matter, Frank? You scared you might, want to make friends with somebody or whatever. I'm just kind of like,
I'm surprised you didn't plug them. Like, those sort of scenes.
I'm not super on board.
Okay.
But I think she does a good job. I think she does
a really good job.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying I just I just think it was a nicely solid performance for a singer, I think.
Yeah, totally. Hey, it's better than Crossroads, man.
It is better than Crossroads. You are correct.
Or is it Glimmer? Is it No,
it's a better performance than Glitter. Yes, that is correct.
Yeah. Have you seen either of those, Tyson?
I've seen both of those. Yeah,
you've seen both of those.
Yes.
Good Lord, man.
Good Lord, indeed.
Were they good? Which one's the better one? I want to see them both. I think I'm going to see them both.
Crossroads is the better film.
Is the better film?
Yeah.
Really?
Glitter has no business being a movie at all. Crossroads at least tries to do some things. It kind of sucks at them, but it tries.
Oh. And it's got Gamora in it, so
it does have Gamora in it. Early Gamora.
And early Gamora, she's in everything. She really is. She works her ass off.
She does. Did you happen to notice that this film was nominated for all the Razzies?
Oh yeah, all of them.
Nearly Kevin Costner, she was nominated for worst actress, worst new star and stuff. It was not worst film.
How mean is that? Come on. It wasn't that bad. I'm
like that. The Razzies can fucking suck themselves. I'm not interested in that at all. But just as a concept, that kind of blows my mind a little bit. I'm like, this is so far from a terrible movie. It has its problems, actually, for sure.
Yeah.
But it is so far removed from a bad movie, I think. It's trying to do a lot of different things. It maybe doesn't do them all super effectively all the way through. But it is in no way
a bad
worthy
movie.
of Razzies. Her performance is in I could point to that we already did point to at least two other singers that have tried to do acting performances and have sucked so much worse than this.
Absolutely.
And this is actually at least it has quite a few dimensions in her performance. You might not nail every element to it, but she does some stuff exceptionally well.
Yeah, and you get some laughs out of it. There are a couple of, not many. You get a couple of laughs out of some of the scenes, and then you get a hard, from the cabin onwards, you get a mad thriller, which is boss. Seriously, there's no way.
You get a really great thriller.
Yeah.
Speaking of the sister character, actually, I found her really interesting. I found her to be, kind of a bit of a surprise packet in terms of the complexity of the film.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you see it coming?
Yeah. I knew it. I already knew it. But
yeah.
when she first turns up, you end up looking more carefully at some of her earlier interactions.
Yeah,
and
that's true. Especially in the in her dance studio, you're like, okay, that's a bit weird. Yeah.
And I'm certain that part of it as well is that she has a thing for Frank Farmer as well.
Oh, absolutely.
And
absolutely. Yeah.
And that you can see that developed really early, and you can see the pain in her face when she gives him that little jive about she was an easy mark or something.
Yeah.
And you can see she's really broken by that, because it's like yet another thing that she's taken from her.
Yeah.
I found her to be a really interesting character, and so much more interesting than a movie like this perhaps usually would bother to implement.
I think that both of them, what I was saying before with the nutter guy who's writing the letters, even her, they could if you were to remake this or whatever, you could have twisted the knife just a little bit more and gone a little bit darker as well. I love her story that she, is in a bar and very stoned and doesn't know where she is in LA and ends up just asking around about someone who can off her sister. If you just think about that for a minute, that is messed up. That is some dark shit.
Those things need hey, it's cool, I was just a bit fucked up. Proviso, like a little part of the contract that later it's like you get a magic word where it's just everyone goes, oh, sorry, you were okay, we'll call it off.
I was really
that's fine. It's like, here's the money anyway. I'm really sorry. Just don't kill anybody. It was just
please. It was goof.
It was one too many drinks down, one too many tequilas. And
exactly.
I got a little bit fired up.
Exactly. I've had a whole bunch of pills. Just chill out. I need to go, lie in the grass somewhere for a while.
I'll still pay you. It's totally fine. Just don't kill anyone.
Please. Just. But yeah, she is good. She is really good. What is that actress's name? Has she been in anything else? I feel like I've seen her in something else.
Yeah, she looks super familiar.
Yeah.
I also really liked her. I think the scene after hang on, is it after? No, it's after she's had that conversation with Frank in the cabin, where it's like, you always get what you want and blah, blah, blah. And she's starting to get a little bit kind of aggressive. And we have that really beautiful moment in the snow where she's singing the hymn.
Yeah.
And they come out and they kind of hug each other and they sing in harmony and everything.
Beautiful scene.
It's lovely. And because knowing what we know, knowing that she's obviously still harboring kind of this sibling negativity, kind of this jealousy of what her siblings achieved, I think, and then ultimately finding out what we do, it makes it really kind of a poignant little scene. Which I think is quite lovely.
And also, you kind of, I always see that scene now as, you can't even, from her sister's point, you're like, you can't even let me just sing a hymn by myself. Do you have to fucking, I know you can, you're very talented.
Yeah, you're totally right.
Can you just let me fucking sing a song, And I'm like,
there was that little bit in it, like, I even think that in my head when I'm watching it, because she does like a little riff at the end.
Yeah, at the end.
And it's like,
it's
this
seriously?
sweet little riff, and you're like, damn, that's hot. And you're like, you couldn't even allow her that 1 second. You had to come out here and be, and it's completely, she's completely innocent of it too. It's not a conscious decision. She's not trying to rub it in any way, shape, or form.
No,
which I think, but it's
just
funny.
Wants to sing with her sister, Yeah.
But so I think there's some real nice depth and complexity in their relationship, I think. And I think they handle it really well. I think they allow it to kind of grow. I think her kind of confession and then immediately getting shot is a little cheap.
Yeah.
I think she should probably be forced to kind of reconcile with her choice a little bit more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I would have liked that pushed a little more. I don't know how, but I would have liked to have seen a little bit more from what's going on with her before killing her off so quick.
In some way having to kind of face the responsibility of what she's put into motion. It's almost like she gets out of it easy because she just gets shot, and it's kind of like, I mean, she's dead, so it's not that easy, but like in some ways for her that's easier than having to face her sister and tell her what she's done. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. She gets the easy way out. Yeah.
And as far as I know, I was trying to think of it, I assume that Rachel doesn't know that it came from her sister. No. And she goes on the rest of the movie not knowing that.
Yeah.
And so there's maybe a little bit. There could be some more opportunities for some deeper kind of character moments through there.
Absolutely. The Bodyguard too. K-Kos reveals all.
He does. Do you know what I found strange though? I'm concerned about how much time passes because she's awfully chirpy at the beginning of that Oscars night for what has happened to her sister. Like how long ago was the funeral? Like a couple of days ago. She's in there. She's having a good old laugh. I hope I fucking win. Then.
She's
in the
limo. Exactly. She's like, no, fuck it. Where everyone else is like, Jesus Christ, Nikki's dead.
Yeah, it's like dead. Nikki's dead. We got someone who might kill her at any instant, and she's just like, I'm having a good time.
We're looking around each corner for a fucking doll that's going to blow up.
And I was like, well, especially if she didn't know about her sister. Like maybe if she did know, maybe she finds out and it was in like a cutscene somewhere that we didn't see, and that would explain her reaction to be a little bit more kind of cavalier about her safety and a bit more cavalier about the relationship itself.
Yeah, that's true.
If she'd found out that maybe it was her doing, but we don't see that, so it makes her interactions in that limo just seem a little bit kind of like.
He's like, oh, okay.
Are you drunk? Did you drink? Did you drink a bit too much champagne? Is that because that would explain a lot as well? That would be good too. Maybe she took a bunch of Valiums to try and chill out, and now she's kind of overcompensating,
riding the high a little bit. Yeah, exactly. It was
that was strange.
I have to bring this up.
Yeah, bring it up.
I put a pin in it before. That fucking samurai sword. So I love how owning a samurai. I had to write it down. I love how owning a samurai sword was only cool in the fucking 90s, and now, like in this movie, like seriously, now if you have a samurai sword in your house or it's very telling. It says something about your personality if you do have that. Maybe you took either The Bodyguard or Pulp Fiction a little too seriously.
Well, I don't know, because I mean, to tell you what, man, if someone said, do you want a badass ninja sword hanging on your wall?
Yeah.
I think I'd probably say yes.
Hey, look, this is coming from a man who literally owns a Captain America shield.
Exactly.
I get
what you're saying, though. It's like,
I don't know. For some reason, it's a samurai sword. Like, I have a friend who has...
Because they're further trying to push the analogy that he's like a modern samurai.
Yeah, I know that. But I can't think of anything else than 90s teenage boys having samurai swords brought back from Bali or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Like, really cheaply made and all of that stuff.
And filming YouTube videos of them, like, trying to cut watermelons and stuff.
Exactly. These aren't people who have gone out and spent quite a bit of money and been trained with something like this. No. These are kids that are like, hey, look what I've got. I'm really awesome. Like, I've got a friend. She has, you'd love this, Ty. She has Sting. She has a replica of Sting.
Oh.
From The Hobbit.
I was like, the singer.
Not
what
is
the
singer,
It's like I love Sting.
Yeah, me too. No. She has the sword Sting, and she also has Aragorn's.
Oh yeah, nice.
There's sort of a
Very
king
cool.
at the end.
Very
Pretty
cool.
cool. But yeah. But that's different. They're memorabilia swords. She doesn't have them up on the wall. She has them.
Tell me though, what is this room that they're in?
I think they're in his basement. So where he was watching the TV, they're in the basement of that house because he had that made.
No,
I think.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I was so confused because I was like, well, they're at Rachel's house because they wake up at Rachel's house, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought.
So. And she was like, what have you done with this? You haven't done anything. Is this where you live? And I was like, is this where he lives? Like, and I was like, what happened to the sweet-ass pool house?
Yeah. I think that's above.
So they built a basement into the pool house for him?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what we saw. Okay. I'm pretty sure that's what we saw.
Yeah, he had time to bring in, like, a box full of books. Did you see all the books? I'm like, what does he think he's going to do down there?
He's in for residency, man. He's there for life. He might as well, just chill out and do whatever, I'm
gonna have to watch that scene again because I'm not convinced. I'm like, I want to know where this is. I'm not convinced. Someone write it and tell me. I obviously missed it.
I love that you have to look up. I love that you have to look that up. Meanwhile, speaking of houses, can I just say that if I were to ever fucking retire, that lake house, that cabin.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
I was so jealous of that place.
Like so beautiful with all that snow and just their own little pier off into the fucking amazing.
Yeah, just beautiful.
And you know that house just smells of just a roaring fire, that beautiful roaring
open
fire.
fireplace. How's K-Kost's fucking badass sweater that winter sweater thing that he's got, that grey thing with the big collar. I'd wear the shit out of that.
Yeah, hell yeah. And my favourite scene is where he runs out and just dives out of that and lands
just dives out of the window, like, does a forward roll, gets the gun out.
Fucking badass shit right there.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
What are you gonna say?
No, I was actually gonna go back to the scene with the ninja sword, because it's like,
oh yeah,
for a scene where we're trying to like show like the heat between two people, I'm not sure it gets there. I'm not sure it's like she's playing around with the sword. He's drinking his fucking OJ. Their conversation is so stilted too. Like, it's really strange. I felt like they did a better job when they were back at the bar, actually having just a nice normal conversation. Do you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
That was far better than this random
And he made a joke
dance
about his wife dying or his girlfriend dying or whatever from him not protecting her. Like, that was good. Oh.
Yeah, I guess it was funny.
Yeah.
It's not the kind of joke.
It's not a great joke.
It's not a great joke, man.
But yeah, at least the conversation was flowing a little bit.
Yeah.
See, this is a little bit of my problem with the movie. Like, we don't see his side. We see a lot of her side liking him, having that conflict or whatever. But you don't get his side. You don't get his, well, I actually really do care about her. You instead just get, well, no, I'm employed by you and I can't do my job if, with all of whatever we're going to do here. He doesn't even get riled up and show feelings, which you kind of want to see. You do a little bit.
He does towards the end. He builds into it. I think early on, I think he almost softens too quickly. I think we don't see that. Like, I was a bit shocked when, he was at the bar and he was having a beer and was being far more cash, and they were having a dance, and they were getting very close. And I was like, oh, well, that happened very quickly. Like,
that was, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and we didn't even have that moment where he kind of, maybe orders an orange juice and then she orders like a beer for him and says, no, you're having a beer tonight, or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It just cut to them there and he was drinking a beer, and I was like, oh, well, fuck, what happened to you? What happened to your samurai fucking code, buddy?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Although I'll tell you what, I do love the vodka and orange he makes.
Oh, Jesus. That is like...
Where I see that little pour of orange juice and then 3 quarters vodka, and I'm like, yeah,
vodka, man.
I like it. That's my kind of vodka and orange juice. I like it. It is intense. What else do I want to talk about? I really enjoy the character of... what's his name?
Yeah.
He obviously made a huge impact.
Huge impact.
No, his name is... And he's played by the ever excellent 90s actor that I see in all kinds of things, and I remember
Bill Cobbs?
No, Mike Starr.
Max Starr. Tony, man. Tony. How good is he? I love him.
Yeah, and do you know what? It's a great character because he really kind of... He's just a kind of character on the periphery, but he gets to have a really nice kind of arc in himself, coming around
really does.
On Frank and kind of seeing, learning a lot about
the job
itself and becoming better at it as he goes, and Frank kind of earning his respect, and them having developing kind of a mutual respect relationship, which comes from that really excellent scene where he tries to beat him up. And
such a good scene.
Yeah, and he has no luck whatsoever. And then at the end, he just says, "I don't want to have this talk again," or whatever he says.
Yeah, I don't want to have this. Talk about this again. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about this again. And they haven't said a word to each other. It's fantastic.
Beautiful scene.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Really,
so
really well
and he
put
knows,
together.
and Tony knows exactly where his place is. He's like, right, clearly I am not in charge anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just going to follow his lead. Yeah.
That's it. And they have I really like their relationship. I think, just that's without having to do too much when, as Mike notices how much Frank actually cares, and it goes beyond just a job for him.
Exactly.
It becomes like a personal investment. He actually cares about these people.
Yeah.
I think you see Frank kind of Mike kind of develop this respect for Frank, and it's really quite good. I think it's excellently put together, their little relationship.
Isn't it?
It
is. Talk about the songs. What were you going to bring up about the songs?
Well, yeah, okay, let's talk. Well, the songs I think are fantastic. Like, they're so...
Yeah, man. All of them.
I forget that I Have Nothing comes from this. Like,
oh, really?
What a fucking brilliant song!
Oh,
like,
how good is it?
And I honestly would have guessed that it was already a song that they just reused for the movie, but it came from it. It was in the screenplay when it was written back in the 70s.
Yeah.
That he wanted a song called Lawrence Kasdan, by the way. Like,
I know.
And like, what a like. That is a bet I would have lost every day of the week if you had told me.
Right?
If you had said $100, Larry Kasdan wrote Bodyguard, I'd be like, nah, give me $100. He did not write that.
He did not write that. Yeah,
but yeah, so that was the title for that song was in the original screenplay when he wrote it back in the 70s.
Yeah.
So that is an all timer, that song as well. Like, I mean, it's obviously not quite as all timer as the main one, but geez, like I love it.
It's up there.
It's
I love
definitely
that
up
song.
there.
Yeah. Even Queen of the Night, like I know it's very much a drag queen theme now, but I fucking love that. I love that song.
It's a great tune, man. Like she's extremely.
She rocks out and has that fucking reveal of that awesome outfit that she's got on.
What is that thing? That silver thing that she wears in that club? Like, is it?
I love it.
Is it a space club? Is it like a future club? Like,
no, I think it's just the outfit for going for the and having like the music video of her walking in the wind in that long flowy thing. I think that's fucking awesome. It goes with the video clip.
Sure.
But in the end. Me watching this thing, I'm straight away. I'm like, this is a bad idea. This is a really bad idea. This is bad.
Right? Yeah. I mean,
she's on the stage, like that is a bad idea.
I want to talk about that kind of stuff later because I think it all comes back to something that I want to mention in particular.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Let's talk about "I Will Always Love You," which I think is. It is amazing how I can watch a movie like this and have not a lot of investment in the romantic element of the movie. I think it's strong, but it's not, for me, it's not the best things in this movie. I think the best stuff in this movie is more Frank's. I think it's more individual story. Frank and Rachel's kind of individual journey, I think, is a little bit stronger than their romantic journey.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
But
I think I know where you're going. Yeah, keep going.
I tell you what, when that song kicks in.
Oh, you're all over it, aren't you?
I'm fucking loving it sick. I want nothing but the two of them to be together forever and happy.
I know, right?
Children and babies and like picket fences. Like it is, it takes 2 words, right? It literally takes
those two
words, and your heart just starts to crumple up in your chest,
yeah.
and you're just
and
like, I'm gonna cry.
Acapella, like you're like, oh my god, seriously.
Look. It is the power of a couple of different things. It is the power of exceptionally strong songwriting.
Yep.
And we have
Whitney's voice.
And I think it's Whitney's performance. It really is Whitney's performance. She as a performer, she just taps into this emotional brilliance that it's so translatable. It just as soon as you hear that, and it might be awareness of the rest of the song that does it. And so, but I honestly think that moment is like a timeless cinema moment.
Insane. I totally 100% agree.
It's just so effective.
Absolutely.
And do you know what? There's another bet I would have lost. I could have sworn that it was the big key change that happens when she runs back in to hug him, not just the introduction of the piano.
Really? No. Yeah. I remember that because I remember I didn't mind it, but where the key change hits and ends, and the movie freezes, I was like, really? Is this where he is now? Like, he's not here now, is he? Like, no, they're together. What's going on?
Yeah,
what
well,
is
it's
this?
kind of
Yeah.
I think it was funny because I was listening to some like behind the scenes stuff, and they equated the ending to like the end of Casablanca, and I was like, oh, that might be a bit ambitious, I think, to kind of compare. I get what they're going for. It's that.
Sure.
It's that same kind of vibe, but I don't think it achieves the same effect. But I'll tell you what, the moment where she does jump off the plane and they run and they hug, it is beautiful, and I challenge anyone to not get emotionally kind of involved in that moment. I think it transcends probably the rest of the film, to be honest. Like I said, this is a solid. There's an hour and a bit of this movie that's a solid 4.5 stars. Yeah. There's some other stuff that brings it all down, probably to like a 3.5.
Yeah.
But
it's up there.
That moment is a 5-star moment. Like it is. I think it's just stunning, and I think it's one of those things that it should be. When it's the 150th anniversary of the Oscars, it should be one of those clips that gets shown next to I Am Spartacus and all that kind of stuff. I think it is absolutely so strong and so powerful, and it's a combination of a few different really well thought out things that just all click together in that one instant. One of which as well, and it's my favorite K-Cost moment in the whole song, in the whole movie. After they hug. And she says, "Come here and kiss me," and he kisses her on the cheek, and she turns around to walk away. He just does this little thing just as the song starts playing in the background. His face just has this one little moment of regret and like
Are you serious?
One little moment where he's like, you can see he's just wishing it could be different, and it's just this subtle little kind of expression that he gives. And I was like, oh man, K-Cost, you've got it, buddy. You can really.
Oh, really?
He's like, and this is why I'm such a huge fan of him.
Yeah.
It's just a small little moment, but he just plays it at the perfect level, and it just kind of, I really loved it. I really loved it.
Nice.
Yeah, God, everything about that moment works so well for me. I think
it is. It's classic cinema. I have to bring this up now, Tyson, because we are massive fans of the Oscars. Could you fucking imagine if that shit went down at the Oscars? Jesus Christ!
Here we are talking about them announcing the wrong winner.
I know.
Imagine that.
Someone got shot. What the fuck? Are you kidding me?
Sagas. I'll tell you what. It must be tricky for any film to kind of. The only ones that come to mind now is like which Naked Gun ends at the Oscars. Which one is it?
Oh, I forget. They all mold together for me.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
I still don't remember.
But yeah, I can't think of any other movies that end at that involve the Oscars as part of their film. But other than this, and one of the Naked Guns, I think it is. And it must be really hard because no matter what you do, I don't believe that's the Oscars. Like, do you know what I mean? There's just something that they get wrong. There's just something that it's really hard to visualize. Whether it's the set design,
it's fake fucking actors.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Do you know what? And I was about to say a big part of it is when the guy comes out who won Best Actor the year before, and I'm like, you'd never win Best Actor. Look at you. You look ridiculous.
Look at you.
Look at you, buddy. You're not convincing anybody. But
so true.
It's a great scene though. I think Robert Wall, he's kind of funny, I guess, doing the host thing and pretending to be like a Billy Crystal-esque kind of host.
Yeah. I wasn't a huge fan. This is the first time I actually paid attention to what he said as an adult. And now the thing that he said about
he says something real sus that's bada
bing, bada boom, girl. I'm like, really?
Yeah, that's
what
right.
the fuck? You're not hosting any Oscars.
Well, and I was thinking about it as well, like when she goes up to present the award, the stuff that's on the teleprompter, I'm like, well, that's not even a joke. That's awful. There's like there's a category I'm really interested in, Best Actor.
Best Actor.
And I'm like, it's not just her delivery. It's like if someone wrote that on a teleprompter, I'd be like, Are you for real? Is this? Don't you have comedians that like sit backstage and write this shit? This isn't a joke.
Hasn't this thing been run like literally written for like 6 months?
Yeah,
previous?
Someone's been sitting around making sure that all these jokes land and are kind of funny. This barely qualifies as a joke. I found that really awkward. Hey, how good was the?
Yeah, what were we going to say?
This is another thing that I noticed that I watched it as a kid a lot because I'm pretty sure this moment was cut. Because I was legitimately shocked when his face exploded.
Oh, really?
When he shoots the camera.
And all that blood goes over the girl in the white dress. I'm like,
what a great shot. He literally, his face just goes to mush and the camera just...
Old school 90s style, like Total Recall.
Yeah, doing it right.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of that moment. It was great.
Yeah, it was very full on because it looked like he shot him through the camera.
Yeah, well, I think he shoots the camera and the camera short circuits and explodes in his face. Yeah,
which is, to be honest, fucking rad.
It's a really great that last 20 seconds, like the him figuring it out. Seeing him with the camera, deciding whether he's going to run or not. She's up there. Yeah. She's, it's really great. It's structured so well. So that moment where he comes diving out, if you didn't know the outcome of this movie, you would be gripping the fucking seat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Seeing it for the first time. Jeez.
Yeah, I think they do that so well. It's really well put together, that scene. I need to pee really bad.
Okay.
So
go.
Stand by.
Stand by.
You'll just have to sit there and stare at an empty room.
That's fair deal.
For a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I wish you joy and happiness. But above all this, I wish you love. And love you sweet memory. That is all I'm taking.
I didn't push pause on the recording, so I've got all of that.
You bastard.
I am going to find a use for that. Don't you worry about that.
Started as
the...
There's no way.
So the last thing I just want to mention.
Yeah.
Because I've got nothing else really.
Yeah, no, I'm done. I think we covered it well. Did this thing win Oscars?
No, I think it was nominated for Best Song. Yeah, and it
wasn't even. Yeah.
Did it win Best Song? It must have won Best Song.
No, see, that's the thing. I think
I Have Nothing would have won. Surely. What a great song.
Surely, but not. I know, right?
No,
okay. Nominee, but didn't win. Are you fucking kidding me?
What's the bet that we've never even heard of the song that beat it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I have to look it up.
I'll
what
look
were
it up.
Say?
I'll get it up.
Okay, you get it.
Because I got a thing right here that tells me. I'm just looking through. How about the Toby Ziegler appearance?
Oh, I love Toby Ziegler.
Yeah.
I was like, seriously, I remember hating you as a kid.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, it's Toby.
And now I'm like, oh, seriously, Toby Ziegler. Whatever he says, just do, because the man is amazing.
Sorry, I've gone to the 80s. What am I doing? What am I doing?
90s, my man, 90s.
So it would be here.
92. Oh, 92.
Documentary, film editing, foreign language makeup, music original song. Music original song. Okay.
Oh.
That's fair enough.
We know the song?
Yeah. Aladdin.
Right, give me a hint.
It was Whole New World.
Fuck. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's fair deal.
That's fair.
Yeah, fair deal. We'll take that.
Yeah.
We'll own that.
God, what a shame though. Like you just kind of like you look at that and go, any other year, it's in the bag. But
exactly, it's Whitney. As if it's not in the bag.
Yeah.
You kidding me?
You can't beat Whole New World.
Yeah,
no, I do want to talk about the director.
Yeah, Mick Jackson.
Mick Jackson.
Mick Jackson?
Is it Mick or Mike Jackson? Mick Jackson.
I think Mick Jackson.
Yes, Mick Jackson, who I think does an exceptionally good job in this film. Well, to be honest, I haven't seen a huge amount of films that he's directed.
Okay.
I've seen the big ones, but there's one in particular that is actually probably in the conversation of like my top 10 films of all time, and that is
Volcano.
Yeah, it's Volcano. You're right. It's no, it's definitely not. It's actually L.A. Story, the Steve Martin written.
Right.
Kind of.
I haven't seen it. It's always been
comedy fantasy. L.A. Story, which I absolutely adore, and I've always it kind of is a big part of the reason why I'm such a huge fan of Steve Martin. I just think a lot of my love for him stems from that movie. That kind of. There's a couple. It's Father of the Bride, the remake of Father of the Bride, obviously. L.A. Story and Roxanne. For me, I like that's my kind of Steve Martin era.
Yeah.
Funnily enough.
My Steve Martin is, let me do mine. Mine is Planes, Trains.
Oh, well, Planes, Trains fits into that, actually. That pretty well, yeah.
Parenthood.
Yeah.
And I don't think I have a third. Maybe I do. Maybe The Dentist from Little Shop. But that's not really,
yeah, that's cool. No, that's all right.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I watch a movie like this, and as I'm watching it, I'm kind of half having a look at IMDb every now and then, and I look at the direction. I go, well, I want to see what he's done because I recognize the name. I was like, Mick Jackson. Yeah, that kind of rings a bell. And I see he's directed L.A. Story, a movie that I would, I passionately love, and I'm like, great, this is really good. And it was funny because the reason why I wanted to check is because I was really enjoying some of the directorial choices. As I was watching it, I was kind of like, wow, they do a really good job of... it was during the first time they get to the club, the first time she goes to that club that she's going to perform at.
Yeah.
And I was like, this movie does a really good job of showing a scene like that from the perspective of someone whose job it is to protect somebody in those environments.
Yeah, that's true.
I was like, it was amazing, because usually you'd watch a movie, and like getting to a club, it's kind of not a big deal. It's just like, hey, there's a crowd and everything. And then, but the way he films the kind of chaotic nature of that and really brings that to the forefront. And we see Kay Cost's eyes darting around all the time. And every little sound is kind of amplified. And every little moment someone kind of does something that is even slightly kind of not threatening, but just a little bit off-putting. You can see the camera kind of amplifies it. And we feel like we're kind of caught in this really chaotic kind of situation. When in reality, if you stepped away from it and looked at it with not through the lens of Kevin Costner, because that's what we're doing. That's what he's doing for us. It wouldn't be like that at all. It'd actually be pretty cash. Do you know what I mean?
So the fact that he's got people above him, people beside him, he doesn't know where anything's coming from. He doesn't know the layout. He didn't even know that he was going to go there. Like
exactly.
That night.
Yeah. So there's some. I think Mick Jackson does some really cool stuff in this film. I think his use of color in the lighting is super 90s, but I love it. I love how everything is like that steely blue light through everything. Like I love it. Like I really do love it. It's an aesthetic choice that I'm really drawn to, and I will always be that way.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, and so even the pacing for a film that goes for 2 hours and a bit, like I said, I don't feel like it drags. I don't feel like it drags at all. Even though there's stuff in the first bit that I don't love, I feel like because of the structure of the film, because we get to the cabin and it feels like almost the movie kind of, you know, those movies where you feel like you're getting to the finale, but you've actually got an hour and a bit to go.
Yeah. You're getting it's the break for the third act. You're getting the not really third
because
act.
It's not really the third act.
Really
because if that's the third act, it's a huge third act. It's almost like it's almost like this film has its first act, its second act, a 2.5 when they go to the cabin, and then a third act when they hit the Oscars. So it's almost like a 4-act structure. I get this similar with Long Kiss Goodnight. I get the same feeling with this, where when they get to Vegas. And she turns back into Charlie fully. I feel like we're hitting Act 3,
right?
But we've actually got a fair chunk of that film left to go. So it's I think movies like that I find are paced exceptionally well because when you think you're getting to the end and you've still got an hour to go, and not in a negative way.
No,
you just ride it all the way to the end and go, holy shit, how long was that? And because I do not check my watch from the moment they get to the cabin to the end, I am in it, and that is some really good pacing and some really good direction. I think he's cut it together, obviously, with his editor really well to keep that kind of energy, keep that pace. I think he does a really great job in this. I don't understand why this movie kind of got shat on when it came out. It was not reviewed well. It was kind of a bit of a laughingstock that it was so popular because it was like, oh, it's not a great movie. I think it's...
But how?
I think it's pretty great.
Someone write us in and tell us why it was bad. If
does anyone not like this? Does anyone... Does anyone not like this movie genuinely?
Yeah,
because I'm not going to attack them right now. I just find it really interesting because I don't find much not to like in it, especially if you're a fan of early '90s thrillers, which I really am. I think this is one of the best examples of it, and it as a romantic thriller, like I've already said, so the romance doesn't work entirely for me.
No,
but. Like I said,
a lot of meat to this story.
From the cabin on, I'm even getting involved in the romance more. To the point where at the end, like I said at the airport, I'm invested, man. That the song starts and I'm like, they're perfect for each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's some really good stuff going on. It's a good movie.
It's those two words, Tyson. Seriously, you hit the nail right on the head there, man.
You're just like, oh, stop it.
Oh,
stop
Jesus.
it. Hey, do you have a favourite K-Cost performance?
Jesus!
Do you have a favourite Kevin Costner movie?
Throw that at me.
I know it's a big call. It's a big call. I just like to know because he's one of my faves, so I always like to know what people would point to as like their favourite.
Let me have a look. Hang on, 2 seconds. It's he does a lot of sports movies, which I still haven't watched a lot of, but I want to. Because I used to play baseball. I played baseball for state back in the day.
Oh, nice.
And, I was.
So you're about to tell me that you haven't seen Field of Dreams? Is that what you're about to say?
No, I've seen. No, that's the one I have seen.
I was like,
it's the other one.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bill Durham. Bill Durham's a good film.
Yeah. So I wanted to see that. But no, I think, and everyone's gonna fucking laugh me sideways at this. Actually, because I know that 13 Days is up there for me because that movie kind of came out of nowhere. Now, in saying that,
13 Days is a really entertaining film, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And he gives a really good performance in that. I would agree.
Yeah, I've only seen it once though, so I'm going to go back and say that it is Waterworld. I'm going to stick with that.
Nice.
Because I love Waterworld. Like I was at the cinema. I hadn't seen Mad Max 2, so I don't know the fact that it is just Mad Max 2, but on water. But I don't.
Sure.
This was my thing. I don't really care. I thought his boat was there, and I still watch that movie and go, "Fuck, I would love that boat. I would fucking live on that boat." As if I fucking wouldn't. Like seriously. And the fact that he's part mutant and can swim really fast. I think it's Boss, and the fact that they're called smokers. And I think it's a great.
There's a lot of really kind of inventive stuff.
I think it's a good movie. But saying the fact that you asked me what's my favorite performance of his, I'm going to say JFK because I watched that and it's the performance that I'm going on.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'd be pretty hard pressed to go past that. I think if I, Sorry, no, you go.
Especially because it's Kay Cost at his peak.
It was his peak.
You know
that was honestly this first 4 or 5 years of the 90s is just all gold. Yeah, and it's really great stuff. Even the late 80s, like from about 86, 85ish until 93. Well, see, Untouchables is probably my favorite film that he's been in. Maybe.
Yeah.
That's kind of argument. Maybe JFK, but I think I want to chuck a shout out for his for A Perfect World, the Clint Eastwood directed film. It's a wonderful performance he gives in that, and a very different performance for him. Yeah, but I'm just a huge fan, and I will fight tooth and nail against anyone that thinks he's not a good actor and does the whole he's wooden and boring. I am a huge K-Cos fan.
You are.
I am.
What haven't you seen of his that you want to see?
There is one that I haven't seen.
Is it 300 Miles to Graceland?
No, I've seen 3,000 Miles to
3,000, sorry.
Funny story. No, I'll tell it another time.
Okay.
Revenge, actually, which is a film that's kind of hard to get your hands on at the moment. And I've heard it's like a really nasty thriller. Like, it's actually kind of pretty dark, and I'm very interested to watch it. Yeah. So that's been one that I've always kind of dodged and never had the chance to see. I recently just picked up on a very cheap DVD for Love of the Game, which I'm really excited to watch because it's a Sam Raimi film, of all things.
Yeah, man.
Sam Raimi directed it, which makes no sense to me whatsoever to do.
To do a sports movie.
Like a romantic sports drama. But aside from that, I've actually seen a lot. I haven't seen all of his most recent output. I skipped some of that stuff, but if I'm not super into it. But yeah, up until like 2003-ish, I've seen pretty much everything except for those couple. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his work.
Go the K-Cost. Love his work.
All right, well, let's wrap it up and move on to our... That was Bodyguard. Tell us what you think of Bodyguard, people.
Yeah.
What do you think? What's your favourite song from it? Is everyone sick of...
Can you hit the high note?
Because I definitely can't. Record yourself hitting the high note and send it to us.
I dare you.
I dare you. Put it on the faces for us.
Put it on the faces, go on. Bittersweet memories. Oh, I fucking love that song, seriously.
It's legitimately one of the all-time greatest songs.
Yeah, man, seriously.
Yeah. There's no,
what was the movie that you said before? Sorry, what was the one that you barely get your hands on? What was that called? Revenge.
Yeah.
I can't see it in here.
1990. It's a Tony Scott film. Yeah.
Tony Scott.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Tony Scott.
Yeah, me too.
I did love him.
R.I.P. Tony.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's get on to what did we watch this week?
Oh, I don't have anything.
You got nothing?
No, you're on your own.
Are you really excited for this? Wait to hear what I've got to talk about.
Oh, really? Oh, here we go. Tyson, what's something new?
Well, not particularly. Actually, it is new. But I just wanted to make mention that I have seen and surprisingly quite enjoyed the first episode of Cobra Kai.
Oh!
Which is available. The first 2 episodes are available on YouTube to watch for free. You don't have to sign up to YouTube Red yet. I watched the first episode. Yeah. And kind of watched it out of intrigue more than anything else because it was free, and I was like, well, if I can watch it for free.
How long does the episode go for?
27 minutes or something.
Okay, yep.
And
holy shit.
It's not bad, man. It's pretty decent, and I'm confused by that because...
Oh, Tys would like to retract his...
I will retract because I was fairly certain it was going to be garbage. It's actually kind of interesting what they're doing.
Oh, shit.
They're actually... What I find really... interesting about it is that they're doing it quite sincerely. So that was my danger, is that it was going to feel like that it was like like an ironic enjoyment, like, you know what I mean, that the people that were doing it were kind of treating it in a way where it was like they were in on the joke of how ridiculous it is to make this series. But it's not like that at all. They're actually treating it really like a legitimately serious series.
Nice.
where what happened in 1984 has severely reflected on what's happened to these people since then.
Really?
But at the same time, it's really funny too, and it's kind of surprisingly funny. Like, it's got a really kind of interesting sense of humor. The first episode is entirely from Johnny's perspective.
Nice.
And we get some footage from the original film cut into some stuff.
Oh, yeah.
We get to see where Johnny's at, which is not in a particularly great place.
Oh, okay.
And due to some circumstances that reveal themselves over the series, he ends up meeting up with Daniel again, and they have kind of a
LaRusso.
a really interesting conversation. It's funny how they're not presenting either of them as like a villain. They're actually trying to keep both very human, and no one is the bad guy in this situation.
Yeah,
but there's some sequences in it that are legitimately great. Like there's a moment where he gets a little bit drunk and drives to the place where they had the All Valley tournament, and he stands in the car park, and he has flashbacks to Kreese breaking his trophy and putting him in the headlock and stuff.
Yeah, man.
And the way it's shot, it's
one of my favorite
really
scenes.
great. Like it's really great. He kind of turns the camera around behind the two of them doing the headlock, except he's there in the future or in the present, kind of observing it and stuff. And so it looks like some really great choices. The very first transition in the show, like the show opens with a replay of the final fight from 1984.
Oh, nice.
And
you're the best around.
Well, except because obviously we're hitting it from Johnny's perspective. The moment the kick hits, it's like it goes into like slow-mo, depressing, like,
really?
And he hits the mat.
Yeah.
And on the back, obviously, we've got the logo of the Cobra Kai. And that's how we start the show. That's when the logo happens, because he lands face first, and you can see he's like pounding the mat, like what's happened? How have I let this happen? And it just zooms in onto the logo, and it's so good.
In. Look at you!
I was in, man,
great.
100% in. I'm getting YouTube Red and then canceling it after 2 weeks. I'm watching it all and canceling it straight as soon as possible.
Jesus Christ!
It's a really
you heard it here first,
it's a really great pilot episode. Johnny Lawrence, so Zabka He's good, man. He's really good.
Nice.
He's kind of, he's a little cold to start with, but I think he's going to work his way into the role really well.
Nice.
There's every potential for this to be lame, like super lame, but I think because they are treating it with such sincerity, and because we are now in an era where we're kind of post-irony a little bit at the moment, where people are far more willing to embrace sincerity than to look at it and be like, oh, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Because they are treating it sincerely. And
rather than having a villain and a hero, coming at it on a level plane.
There's no choice. There's no moment where they kind of secretly wink at you through the screen. Do you know what I mean? There's no acknowledgement of it's like, but it's okay to laugh at this a little bit. Do you know what I mean? They're just legitimately trying to show the story of these two people and where they're at now. And I find it fascinating. I think it's I think it's going to be really cool.
Are you seeing a bit of budget on the screen? Is there...
Look, it looks like a cheap television series. Yeah,
that's okay though, because the trailers, in what you saw in the trailers, it looked pretty legit to me. Like,
the production values aren't great, but it doesn't look garbage by any stretch. It's lit like a television show, so it's a little kind of the lighting's a little flat.
Yeah, that's all right.
But it looks as good as a Netflix original show that they didn't put a huge amount of money into. You know what I mean? It doesn't look like.
Did Netflix pick this thing up?
I don't know, man.
As if they didn't. They pick up anything. Do you know how much money Netflix put into what's Will Smith's son's name?
Jaden Smith.
His first TV series. Do you know how much money they put into that? And
he's had a TV series.
Yeah, and then canned it after the first. I forget. It was a stupid amount of money, but yeah.
Well,
and
you
then
got to think like you look at those
series.
like the Lost in Space series. Like that's not cheap, man. Look at a season of Stranger Things. Like that's not cheap. Like they're good shows. Don't get me wrong, but this would have been a good choice for them, I think.
Exactly, and it's not as if Cobra Kai is going to be pushing the CG button a lot. Like I don't get it.
Well, I can't imagine there'll be any CG in it. But like, look, this might not be for everybody. It's fine. I might be looking at it through kind of nostalgia colored glasses.
That's fine though.
But yeah, jump on it, and it's for free. Like you can watch the episode for free. The first 2 episodes. Get on and just give it a watch and see what you think. It might be your thing. It might not be your thing.
And Ralph Macchio, he's okay. He's hanging.
Yeah,
in
look,
there?
he's only popped up in the one scene so far.
Okay.
So he's doing okay. He's finally starting to look old. You know how he's always kind of had that thing where
he's got a young face.
He's finally starting to look his age. He actually looks older than Zabka. Zabka's kept himself in pretty good shape by the looks of it.
That's
it's good.
Yeah, that's good. Leo has a young face as well, I reckon. Leo still looks T to me.
No, you're right about that. Leo's always going to kind of look younger than he is. Because I honestly couldn't tell you how old is he. What is he, 40?
I have no idea. He can't be 4 years older. That's weird. No, it's weird. He's got to be older than that. He's got to be like 40. No, he can't be 44. Like, I don't know.
Oh well.
Yeah. Anyway.
I guess we'll never know.
Yeah, that's true. Shall we? Is that it? Would you like to cross some streams, or are we?
Yeah, let's cross some streams.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all. I have watched some other things, but I might save them for another conversation.
Oh, okay, cool. Cool. So crossing the streams.
Crossing the streams
via Skypeage. All right.
Skypeage. You know what you sound like? You sound like Pauly Shore in Encino Man. What does he say all the time in that movie?
Weasel.
What's his? What? No, what's
the Weasel?
Grindage or something? Is it grindage when they're talking about food?
It's my wife's her favorite movies. If I get this right, she's gonna kill me.
It's grindage.
Yeah.
Everything is grindage. Anyway,
I can't think it
because I keep saying the word grindage.
You keep saying the word grindage, so I can't think of it. I can't think. No, it's gone. It's gone. Right. I think grindage is in Son-in-Law. But anyway, moving on.
Oh,
so I've got mine. Have you got yours?
Yeah, you can go first.
All right. Well, mine, I would like to. Actually, no. You know what? I am going to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, on Prime Video, get on there, type in Waterworld, and just have a fucking good time.
Waterworld. All right.
Have a good watch. It's another K-Cost movie that I love. You may not like it, but I love the shit out of it, especially because I went on my honeymoon. We went to Universal Studios and I saw the Waterworld live action show, and it was badass. And then I said to my wife, as soon as we get home, we're watching Waterworld, and we were so jet lagged. She's like, "Seriously, are you putting this on?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm putting this on," and I fucking loved every second.
That's what you got to do, man. That's how it works. I get it.
Dennis Hopper, man. Dennis Hopper. It's fucking gold. I love it. Waterworld. I always would love it. I watched it at the cinema with my friend Neil Bassett. We watched that shit and it was gold.
What's up, Neil?
It was gold. What's up, Neil? That's it. That's all I've got.
You may not watch it. Waterworld's on what? Well, how can we watch Waterworld?
Waterworld is on Prime Video.
Prime Video. I might have to give that a watch soon.
Yeah,
it's been a very long time.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to recommend there's a movie on Netflix, which I'm pretty sure has been on Netflix before. It's not like it's just popped up for the first time. But the reason why I'm mentioning it is because last week we did our top 10 of 2007, which you can find in the iTunes store or wherever you listen to podcasts. Have a bit of a listen to that and check it out and maybe tell us your favorites of 2007. But there was a movie that wasn't on either of our lists and didn't get a mention that I do really like and I feel like is worth watching on Netflix. And that is the Simpsons movie.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah,
I've never seen it.
Never seen it. Look,
no.
I was saying I was a fan of The Simpsons doesn't do it justice. Like,
right?
It's the kind of fandom where my life revolved around Simpsons for quite some time. When it was on like 5 nights a week.
You were there every
like
night.
1998. I think they started doing that, or 99. Maybe even a little earlier. It was pretty much the most watched thing in my house, to the point where I would tape them onto VHS.
Yeah.
And cut out the ads, so I'd get eight episodes on a 3-hour tape. I had I think about 17 tapes.
You see what we did back then, people?
That had Simpsons on them. So whatever that works out to be, that's probably 60 or so episodes.
Exactly.
That I would just every Saturday and Sunday, first thing I do in the morning, get up, make my breakfast, pick a tape that I wanted to watch, and I'd watch that tape through, maybe pick another one, and I'd watch at least probably 10 to 15 episodes of Simpsons a day.
Good Lord, man.
Yeah.
That is some Simpsons.
It was...
And you know that he's watching Tyson when he was younger. He's watching, if he wants to watch the 3rd episode, he's watching it all the way through, aren't you, Tys? Till you get to that episode, you're like, I want to watch that one. I think it's on this tape. I'm just going to chuck it on and play.
I used to write on a piece of paper what episodes were on each one, and I taped it, and I sticky taped it to the back of the cassette so that I would know which ones were on which episode, which were on each tape. And one of the favorite things to do was to notice that the tape was already halfway through and be like, oh, I wonder what episode it's up to, and chuck it on. Anyway, so The Simpsons, obviously like most people, I have drifted away from my love of The Simpsons. I could pretty much from about season 10 onwards, I think I start to kind of lose my
drift off a bit.
Yeah, I mean there's a patch between like 3 to 6 that I can legitimately quote the entire episode from start to finish. But when the Simpsons movie came out, it was a huge deal, man. It was a really huge deal. I was stoked to go into a cinema and watch The Simpsons. And from the moment the Fox logo starts and then Ralph pops up and starts going bah, 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 next to it, I was in. I was like, yes, fantastic. This is exactly what I wanted from a Simpsons movie, and it's going to be fantastic. And look, it's got its problems, and it's not always. I think some of the gags don't land, and the overall plot I think is probably the weakest part of it. I think it's probably smarter than them trying to do like just 3 randomly connected episodes into like a movie length special. But I still think it's super, super funny, and it's probably the best Simpsons output in the last 15 years or so, really, when you think about it. Since season 12 to 13, there's really not many redeeming episodes that you'll find. So at least the movie is almost 2 hours of pretty good, solid Simpsons with some really great gags in it, some classic gags, some stuff like Spider-Pig is still something that everyone quotes that came from that.
I haven't seen it, and I still quote Spider-Pig. Seriously.
Spider-Pig does whatever a Spider-Pig does.
I just think that the movie was just a little bit too late.
I think you're right. I think it was a little bit too late, and they were trying
to. They missed out. They really did, because Simpsons at one point was fucking everywhere, man.
Everywhere, yeah. And it was clearly an attempt by the people that by Matt Groening and things like that to kind of recapture some of that early glory, because they knew, we're not as popular anymore. Let's try a movie and let's see if it gets the people back in. And for a certain amount of time, it did work. It really did work. Because around the time of the movie, they did like a special edition of the 20th season of The Simpsons, and I couldn't tell you what happens in season 16 of The Simpsons, but I remember a fair bit of season 20 because it felt like a big deal, even though it wasn't very good. So it's kind of like one of the last. I think if you ever do like a Simpsons rewatch, you can stop at like season 11, let's say that. There's still occasional good ones, maybe in 12 and 13. But I think the best way to cap it off is to watch the movie as well, because I think it really is the last great Simpsons output that we might ever get, really. And it's definitely worth watching. So that's just on Netflix. And,
Netflix?
While it didn't get a mention in the top 10, if we were doing a top 20, I think it would most likely be in there for sure.
Yeah.
It's
20,
it's very enjoyable.
Maybe we'll get to a year where we need a top 20. Because there'll be
years when our honourable mentions will be pretty long, I think.
Yeah.
But
and in that case, maybe we'll do a top 20.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap us up.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen.
So why don't you tell us again where everyone can find our little show?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you are a fan of our show, you can type into any social media, Nick, Tys and Videotape. You'll find us now. I spell my name without a K, so it's NICTYS and Videotape.
Correct.
And you'll find us anywhere. You find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. YouTube. Feel free to troll the shit out of us. Tyson loves it if you do.
I would love it. It would be great.
Chuck him a meme on the Facebook.
Give me some memes. I love memes.
He loves memes. I fucking hate memes. I can't stand them.
That's my favourite form of humor.
Goddamn. But yeah, and if you do like what you hear, please rate, review, share us, tell some friends about us.
Yeah, please do.
And review us on iTunes, because it really does help our little podcast along.
Yeah, it really does. Even just clicking those 5 stars or just chucking a few words in the review, it chucks us to the top of search engines and things like that. And it just makes it a lot easier for people who are just kind of blindly searching the iTunes store through the 14 million podcasts that exist. It just gives us a little bit of a leg up. So
a little boost. And wouldn't you want to do that for us?
Exactly. And just for a minute of your precious time.
Exactly.
But yeah, so that's going to do us, I think, for today, Nicholas.
That's it, Thomas.
We'll have to delay next week, because I think we might have to actually take the week off, unfortunately.
Oh, fair
which
deal.
is going to be a bit sad, but
that's all right. That's all right. It happens.
We might actually post up some kind of like, hey, here's a couple of great episodes you might have missed. Something.
That's true.
Just be a good opportunity to do a bit of catching up and finding maybe a few things. Maybe you missed something from our Spookisodes in October last year.
That's true.
Could be worth revisiting, or maybe one of our really early episodes. Maybe you just watched Cobra and you're like, I wonder if Nick, Tys and Videotape do a podcast on Cobra. And I'll tell you what, we do. It's pretty good.
If anyone else has done a podcast on Cobra,
I reckon there'd be a few out there, but
fuck off. No, there would no way. No one's doing that.
But listen to ours though. If you happen to find another one, listen.
Absolutely. To ours. I've had friends say, I have not seen Cobra. I listened to Nick Tyson Videotape's Cobra episode, and that was fucking gold.
Great.
What you guys talked about was hilarious.
Well,
I was like, hey, well done.
But, or maybe you watched 4 Weddings and a Funeral and thought, well, that was garbage, and then you want someone else that agrees with you because somehow collectively the whole world thinks that's a great movie, you can jump on and listen to our episode where we hang shit on it for 2 hours.
What the hell? Seriously, like what the hell? Come on.
Anyway,
really?
so there's 59 other episodes you can find on the iTunes store, so there'll be plenty for you to listen to over the next week. But we'll be back with something pretty impressive the week after. I'm very excited for what we're going to be talking about the week after.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome. Real awesome. But until then,
happy 60th birthday, Tys.
Happy 60th, Nick, and happy first Skype anniversary.
Yay!
Yay! We made it through without any technical faults. Actually, I shouldn't speak just yet because who fucking knows?
Exactly. I'm running on 14%.
Oh, nice. All right,
alrighty, buddy.
Let's say goodbye to everybody.
Bye, gang.
Bye.